Long ago, there once was a kingdom along the coast that was ruled by a king that had a particular fondness for seagulls. The fishermen of the kingdom were respected far and wide for their skill, and the coastline was teeming with the fishermen and their boats, while the shore was teeming with those eager to purchase the fish they caught. The king raised a small family of seagulls, and allowed them to live along the coast, forbidding all from disturbing them. The lives of the seagulls were truly easy, as they did not concern themselves with catching fish themselves. They would simply watch the fishermen's boats, and when the nets were pulled up, filled to the brim with large and delicious fish, the seagulls would swoop in to get their fill. There were so many fish that the fishermen did not even seem to mind, and joked about appreciating the assistance of the seagulls in lightening their nets. Both the fishermen and the seagulls got along, and everyone seemed to be happy. Things continued like this for many years. In time the old king died, but his son continued his father's tradition of deference towards the seagulls. Meanwhile the small family of seagulls had become a vast flock over the years. The seagulls became so numerous that when the fishermen would raise their nets full of fish, the seagulls would nearly pick them clean, leaving almost no fish for the fishermen. The fishermen complained to the king, asking that he do something about the seagulls, but he, like his father, was quite fond of seagulls, and ordered that the fishermen do nothing to disturb them. The fishermen began working at night while the seagulls were asleep, but once the fish were safely caught, the seagulls would see the fish as they were brought to market, and the hungry seagulls would attack the fishermen's booths, damaging their property and making off with most of the fish for themselves. Again the fishermen pleading with the king to help them, but again the king refused. The fishermen closed the market along the shore, and moved it far away where it was hoped that the seagulls would leave them alone. Unfortunately, the seagulls found them, attacked their booths, damaged their property, and made off with most of the fish once again. The fishermen were furious, but again the king decreed that no harm come to the seagulls. Finally the fishermen decided that they would have to leave the kingdom. Even though it was their home, and their forefathers had built the kingdom themselves long ago, they could not abide by the king's disrespect towards them and his favoritism towards the seagulls. The fishermen left the kingdom, and there were no more fish to be bought or sold. The vast flock of seagulls began to starve, for even though the sea was teeming with fish, many more since the fishermen had left, the seagulls had forgotten how to hunt for themselves. Too many generations had passed, and the seagulls had grown accustomed to being fed by the labor of the fishermen, and knew nothing else. For until then they would simply watch the fishermen and wait for their meals to be delivered to them, but now that the fishermen were gone, they began to starve and die. Seeing his beloved seagulls suffering caused the king to be filled with rage, and he ordered soldiers to capture the fishermen and force them to come back and provide for the seagulls. However, the fishermen were warned about the king's intentions, and fled to a distant land. The king ordered that food be gathered from throughout his realm, which he personally delivered to the seagulls himself. However, the seagulls were mad with hunger at that point, and seeing the king along with the food he brought roused them into a violent frenzy. The seagulls killed the king, along with many of those accompanying him, and after the food the king had brought was consumed, the seagulls began to starve once again. Word of the king's death spread, and because the seagulls had killed him, all laws regarding the special treatment of seagulls were abolished. The new king had the surviving mad seagulls killed, and offered a reward to the fishermen if they would return to the kingdom. The fishermen did return, and once again the coastline was teeming with the fishermen and their boats, while the shore was teeming with those eager to purchase the fish they caught. The end.